So when you think from a Standard Bank Group, we spend approximately 25 billion rand a year on technology. I mean, it's a massive number, and I would argue that we run the biggest technology shop on the continent. We must probably got over 800 people that just work in cybersecurity. And our cybersecurity teams are done across the continent. We spend at least over 1 billion rand on cybersecurity. Since May 2022, we've actually had 22 month ends of no impact. Okay. So we'll call it no significant impact.
Welcome to another episode of ITWeb TV. Today we are joined by Jörg Fischer, who is the Group Chief Information Officer at Standard Bank. Welcome to ITWeb TV, Jörg.
Great, thanks, Adma. It's awesome being here. Thank you very much for having me here.
Awesome. Just to start with, Jörg, I understand you were appointed back in 2022 after having spent maybe over 26 years with Standard Bank, if I'm not mistaken. If you can just maybe take us back to the time you started in Standard Bank until now when you are the Chief Information Officer, and most importantly, what drove you to become a tech person as Chief Information Officer?
Okay, that's great. Maybe a bit of history. In actual fact, I think at the end of July, I'm actually going to be 27 years with the Standard Bank Group, and an absolute and incredible organization. And maybe if I come back, in actual fact, I started in 1997. The reason why I know the year so well is I also got married in 1997. So I've been with Standard Bank for nearly 27 years. I've been, as I nearly married for 27 years. So by profession, I'm actually, let me confess this openly, I'm actually a chartered accountant. So I'm not a software engineer or something like that. So I'm a chartered accountant. So when I joined the Standard Bank Group, I did my articles and I stayed on at DNY and Ernst & Young. And in those days, in actual fact, I started at our investment bank, Standard Corporate Merchant Bank, in our finance area. These were really the early days from a Standard Bank perspective, especially from an investment banking perspective. And I was there for close to 4 years. And then in about 2001, I moved over to a retail bank as the CFO. So I was the Chief Financial Officer of a retail bank. And if people think about the history, this was literally just after Nedbank did a hostile takeover bid on Standard Bank. So quite a lot of us from the corporate investment bank had actually moved over to retail bank. And I was a CFO there. But while I was a CFO there, I actually was quite interested in technology. So I got involved in quite a lot of the contract negotiations. I got quite a lot involved in the technology contracts, being the typical finance person. And I started to really get a liking to this. So my first stint actually in IT was in 2006. So I was the Chief Information Officer for the group from 2006 and 2011. And a lot of person would go, why does a finance person go into technology? And one of the main reasons, I always try and convince myself why did it happen. The one aspect was the previous CIO actual fact retired. So I guess it was opportunistic from a timing perspective. But the main thing was that they wanted to bring technology much closer to the business. So Standard Bank thought that a lot of it previously was too much technology driven instead of an actual fact business driven. And I guess with my commercial acumen from a finance perspective and me being a senior person of a bank, I was able to really tie the call it divide or not between technology and the business unit. And at the same time, I was used to leading big teams like finance team. So it's a lot of it was more about the people aspect, the commercial aspect, and bringing technology much closer to the client. So I was there up until 2011 in technology, absolutely loved it. I also had many lessons with an UNISA professor. So that's actually where I learned a lot about technology, and also the vendors helped me quite a lot to learn about technology. When you think about it, 2011, in actual fact, we didn't even have an app. So in actual fact, my life there was much easier. So a lot of it was more branch banking specific. And when I ran operations, I built like a shared service out for the group. And then, as you say, in 2022, in May, I was asked to come back to technology, I guess for various reasons. I must probably, when I moved out of technology, I must probably said I wouldn't go back to technology just on it being such a difficult job in a bank, in a group. But I must say it's been now over 2 years I've been sort of back in technology, and I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, there's so many things happening that in actual fact it really keeps me excited every single day.
Awesome. That's quite interesting. Just also to understand from your own personal experience, how easy is it for someone to branch out from a field like finance, accounting, in your case, to go into a role like a completely different role like CIO?
So I would argue sort of to branch into technology. I mean, I guess it's a kind of aspect of how big is, I guess, the role, and whether it's really required in respect of deep technical knowledge, or whether you need to know more organizational knowledge. But I guess for me, the important aspect is to show a deep passion for technology. I mean, that's the first thing. So I would argue that nowadays you don't need to be a CIO. I don't think you really need to be a software engineer, but you need to understand what technology is all about, and you need to have a deep passion in technology. And for me, the aspect is every day is a learning ability. So I would argue, even though like people have maybe been in technology 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but like when you think about the whole world of AI, or you think the whole world of cloud, those topics never existed. So for me, it's about it's about being continuously current, and it's about continuously wanting to learn, and very much looking at it. I would argue you've got to start looking at technology from a business perspective. Bring your people with, and very much about delivering client solutions. So I would argue, like if you got the passion for it, and you work for a big organization, and I know many other CIOs that haven't grown up from a technology perspective, they're doing sort of wonderful jobs or roles from a technology perspective. So it's all about the passion, I would argue.
Great. And you must be having a lot on your shoulders for a bank like Standard Bank, being the biggest bank in Africa. How do you ensure that all the IT systems are up and running 24/7 across all the geographies that you are present in on the continent?
Yeah, so maybe when you look at the Standard Bank Group, exactly as you said, it's a massive organization. We are definitely by far the biggest financial institution on the African continent. You think we even work further than the African continent. I think we operate in about 22 countries, across, because we also got Jersey, Isle of Man, and we actually run 4 distinct business units. We got our corporate investment bank, we got our retail bank, we got our business and commercial bank, and then we got insurance and asset management. How do I all control it? I mean, good question. I mean, it's a kind of aspect, as I would argue, sort of to have, first of all, to make sure you got good people working for yourself. So as our business is divided up into 4 business lines, I got 4 sort of CIOs, which are actually to look after these big business units perspective. So I spend a lot of time with them. They are very much empowered and work closely with the business units in respect of sort of delivering the technology solutions. But I guess for me, the kind of aspect is I got a great relationship with a team. I'm always there for them. And I guess after a while, I mean, after having been in a corporate for nearly 27 years, I do know what I'm looking for. I do know what the big topics are. And that's very much where I spend my time. So I do know when to spend my time on the big topics. When do I need to delve into the detail and et cetera. But I would argue, make sure you got a proper team together. Make sure you connected with them. Make sure you got good teaming sessions, and understand whatever big topics which you need to get involved in. And when I say, when on the continent, we got the 22 sort of CIOs, whatever, which we operate through. And I very much got an open door policy of whoever wants to contact me can just contact me.
I'm sure you need quite a huge budget to ensure that all these operations are running smoothly. If you can just tell us, how much budget do you have to run your IT operation?
Well, it's actually quite a frightening number, and it's not a secret. In actual fact, we disclose what our IT numbers are. So when you think from a Standard Bank Group, we spend approximately 25 billion rand a year on technology. I mean, it's a massive number, and I would argue that we run the biggest technology shop on the continent. We've got over 5,500 people that actually work in technology. So it's a massive thing. So as I say, it's sort of our numbers around the 25 billion, and obviously that's the run plus the change. If you look at sort of the change side, And maybe I'll sort of change up into a bit more from a project expenditure. We probably invest about 6 to 7 billion in new projects a year. That makes up part of a 25 billion.
And which new projects are these?
Yeah, I mean, obviously based on my level, if I'm totally honest, I'm not totally always involved in all the projects just because we do so many. I mean, we run tens, if not hundreds of projects at the same time. But I very much get involved in the big themes. So I would argue instead of the specific projects, I get involved in the big themes. A lot of themes, and I'm quite comfortable sort of to announce some vendor names there. But for me, quite a lot of a customer interaction layer, which we use Salesforce, so I get involved in that. We do a lot of work with our hyperscalers in respect of cloud computing. We're doing quite a lot of work on AI. We continuously need to modernize our core banking systems. So even though I would argue we must probably got very modern core banking systems, but you always have to upkeep. So we keep involved in those projects, and we continuously involve, for example, our banking app and internet banking. So I spend, like I say, sort of big picture, I spend involved in quite a lot of governance committees. I make sure that we get value for the money we spend on, and I make sure that the projects sort of deliver according to what we promised the board. So that's where I get involved in. I mean, one of the things which I'm always proud of is, and this was sort of just when we came in, is, for example, even our call centers run on something called Amazon Connect. Okay. And in actual fact, based on us sitting on technology advisory boards and all of that, we were able to convince AWS to bring the Amazon Connect technology or the service to South Africa. So in actual fact, we were the first organization in South Africa that in actual fact built the contact centers on Amazon Connect. But I say those are sort of a kind of levels where I get more involved. I can't get involved in all hundreds of projects, but I play a huge governance role in respect of making sure that we're delivering.
A lot of organizations are also going through like their digital transformation journeys. If you can also take us through the Standard Bank digital transformation journey, like where are you coming from, where are you now, and where are you going?
Yeah, so for me is when I look at digital, okay, I would argue very much that digital is nowadays nothing separate. Okay, I would argue that no matter what organization you are, is that your digital strategy or your digital transformation are core of an organization. So the first aspect, it's not separate. I think the other aspect is what you've got to look at is I would argue that you've got to look at in respect of the culture you want to drive. So for me, it's about everyone needs to start thinking digital. Like as I said, I spent a bit of time in operations, and I got this concept between digitization and digitalization. So when I was in ops, I probably did a lot of digitization. We took manual processes and we automated them. Nowadays, I would argue the next step is, in actual fact, what you need to do is you need to digitalize your processes to the client. So the main thing is, how do you take friction away, and how do you actually make your life for the client much simpler? So that's for me digitalization. You start sort of excluding processes, so you make simpler. For me, the main thing is, I would argue with any digital strategy from an organization is you've got to think about the client experience. And ultimately, I would argue, I think you and our clients on many aspects is we want simplicity. We want convenience. And I think the main thing what Standard Bank is looking at and is working on is how do we give time back to our clients to do actually what they want to do. I don't want to sort of belittle banking, but I don't think we'll wake up on a Monday morning wanting to go to a bank and stand in a line. Yeah. I mean, it's a kind of aspect is how do we make it convenience for our client. If I also think back is, I can't believe it's been about, I think, 4 years since COVID. I hope I've got my dates right because it's just been a blur. But when you think about COVID, all forced us to become more digital. So even when you look at our branches, what you historically could do in a branch, I would argue that up to 90%, and I don't know if my number is exactly correct, you can do on an app. So that's the whole thing is, and I would argue, like restrictions and I wouldn't, like the reason why I call COVID as a restriction is because it threw something at you, which you had to do something to it. So that's for me sort of a whole thing about the digital strategy. And when you think about it, it's amazing. Sort of, if you look at our app, we got over, I think, 100 million logons in a month. I mean, so you can really see that I mean, our clients are using it. I think the other aspect is when you look at our sort of whole digital transactions, I think year on year has increased by like 30%. And the number of digital clients are just absolutely increasing. I think we've got close to 5 million clients, which are nowadays sort of interacting with the app sort of rigorously and quite often. So that's for me is like when I think about digital, it's about giving time back to our clients and creating convenience, and it's part and central of an organization. It's no longer separate.
Thanks, Jörg. Just also looking at this person, like Standard Bank was one of the banks that started reducing the number of bank branches. And we also, like we were talking earlier, like we used to have an ATM just up the road here. There's no longer an ATM. You also reduced the number of your ATMs, I understand. How are you catering for those clients who still need like face-to-face in talking to somebody like we are doing now, or those who still prefer to actually handle the actual cash? How are you taking care of that customer?
Yeah, look, that is difficult question and difficult thing. But I would argue that obviously as an organization or as a bank, you actually have to move with your clients. So as less and less sort of clients are utilizing our branches, you have to invest much more in a digital strategy, which I spoke about. However, I don't think we will ever be an organization like a lot of our competitors are pure digital bank.
Yes.
So in actual fact, when you think about it, is we still got an incredible branch network out there, and we still got like an incredible ATM network. Does it shrink over time? Yes, it shrinks because of sort of demand from our clients. But I would foresee very much is that the majority of the transactions you will do on your digital platforms, and that is very much up to us as organizations to try and make it more convenient for our clients, and in actual fact educate treat them into a digital channel. But there's no doubt about it that you will still carry on going to a branch and do your work. But at the same time, I think our branches are converting much more in respect of, I would argue, the complex transactions. So if you want a mortgage loan, then like that's the kind of discussion you must probably want to have in a branch, or you want a complex loan or something like that. So that's very much where our branches are going to. But I would argue very much in respect of the transactional perspective is that's very much which is going to go to the app. But as I say, we do so much research in respect of where our clients are, and from a branch perspective, that I always think we will have a bricks and mortar presence out there, but it's got to be a presence that's absolutely relevant for our clients, and in actual fact be there for our clients wherever I want to be for. I mean, I'm thinking about myself. When was the last time you went to a branch? They're like, so that's the kind of aspect.
I have to go and fetch my bank card.
Yeah.
So I've been like, why do I need it? Because everything I'm now just
yeah. And but it is a kind of aspect. But I mean, it was just tongue in cheek. But I do think they're like not all clients are like us, and I think we are very much a universal sort of bank. We bank sort of different segments, and I do think we have to be relevant to our market. But I must say, I generally don't use a branch because I can do everything on my app. Yeah.
Awesome. And also you mentioned about these emerging digital banks, which are growing in number in our market. I understand they don't have like much legacy systems like a big bank like Standard Bank has. Usually we are also seeing that they are offering like lower service fees than the traditional banks. How are you finding competition from these new kids on the block, if I to put it that way?
Yeah, look, competition is fierce. I think competition is good. I think competition makes us better. So it's a kind of aspect is, look, I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, we didn't grow up as a digital bank. I mean, and I would argue is we're also not starting from a client base of zero. So a lot of these digital banks are starting off from a client base of zero, and they have to build up versus, I mean, we've got an incredible client base. I think we've got over 18 million clients. So for me, it's a kind of aspect is we got different advantages. No doubt about it is by saying as the previous topic we spoke about is we've got to offer the digital experience to those clients. But I would argue we've still got an upper hand whereby a lot of those clients will never go to those digital banks, and we can offer sort of those kind of services still from a branch. But my kind of aspect is I think is competition is absolutely welcome. And even myself as a CEO, I learn a lot from these digital banks, and I think it's absolutely healthy, and it's great to have competition in my market. Makes us all better, and in actual fact, ultimately, hopefully, the client wins.
Yeah,
because that's what matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, another question I have for you: Standard Bank before your appointment, actually, we used to have issues like around payday when your clients wouldn't transact on the arguably one of the most important days of their month. But it seems the problem, we no longer have those issues nowadays. If you can just tell us how did you manage to resolve this issue? And what was happening actually?
Yeah, maybe touch wood. Hopefully, that's the terrible job of being a CEO in a bank is you never know. But I can maybe sort of reflect on it and talk back. I guess that's one of the reasons why I asked our chief executive and our CEO to come back into technology, I guess, sort of just based on that history. We did a couple of things, and if often the board asks me by saying, what was a magical source? And I don't think it's one thing. I think it's really multiple things, and you've got to do it systemically. For me, the main thing is when I looked at a lot of those sort of challenges we had, whether you call them outages or challenges, slow responses, when you really sort of double click on them, and I'll talk a bit more about it, is I ended up really thinking about saying a lot of it was maybe people related versus pure technology related. So the first thing what we did is we actually launched something as simple as a back to basics campaign. Okay. So, and this was very much pushed across IT, and it's as simple as that, by saying as, guys, can we all act as one team? Can we make sure that when we escalate issues very quickly? They're like, I found that technology people often were shy of escalating an issue, and I always said, give me another 10 minutes, I will fix it, and all of that. And 10 minutes became, I don't know, hours. And that the other aspect is, and that comes back to be transparent and all of that. It's not that people are hiding things, but it's about leadership management there to help. Let's take the broader sort of strength of a bank. And then the other thing is, like technology people, I think, hate admin. And we sort of implemented stuff by saying, in actual fact, be proud of your work like an artist is proud of their painting. Sign it off. So a lot of the stuff was worked on people. Okay, so that was one aspect. The other aspect is, like, I'm not taking anything away from the engineers, but in actual fact, we up the voice of the engineer. In actual fact, I just came this morning where we're having an incredible sort of inaugural sort of engineering day, software engineering day. We got 1,500 engineers virtually and physically all together. And for me, it was about, let's up the voice of the engineer. Let's make sure that they know they are damn important. They deliver the client experience, and it's not just management. So we did a lot of work on the engineers. The other thing is we work very closely with, call it vendors partners. I use that name sort of interchangeably. Is I spent a lot of time with them in respect of, this is not about legal contracts, procurement contracts, but it's about still like with these big vendors. Are you sure you got the best people from yourself working on our teams or with our teams on our environment? So I did a lot of work with the vendors, and it's very much built great relationships. And a lot of our relationships are offshore relationships. So like we run a massive mainframe shop. In actual fact, I've got nowadays the head of mainframes who's based in America. I got him on speed dial. What is absolutely so nice is that he actually phones me on a weekend and he says, do you know what? I know you're doing a change X, Y, and Z. I've got my best people working on it. Gives me a lot of comfort versus previously it was maybe a transactional agreement. I mean, that's how we did a lot of engineering work. I played a lot of, leadership function in respect of this, whereby I am a no-nonsense guy. I get involved in the detail. I spend a lot of it sort of time with a team. And I run a weekly stability meeting. I personally chair it. Okay. And any incident we had this week, we want to talk about. We really want to talk about. And why do we want to talk about it? Because we want to learn. So for me, it's not about accusing people. It's about learning. I mean, I also run a very deep sort of root cause analysis meeting. And what I found is, in actual fact, you have to ask the question at least 5 times why something happened, versus if you only ask it once or twice, people give you just the obvious answer. And then when you double click, you actually find what the real root cause is. And it's not about, again, accusing teams. For me, I turned this whole thing into a learning organization. So if something happened in Kenya, can Uganda learn from it? If something happens in South Africa, can we learn from about it? So I think it's very much about working with a team, discipline. I'm a very disciplined person. So I'm very structured, very disciplined. And for me, it's about, I think the teams have done incredible work. If I look at it, and as I touch wood, since May 2022, we've actually had 22 month ends of no impact. Okay. So to sort of, or call it no significant impact. And then when you think about it overall, we've had more than 12 months of no significant impact, even during the month. So we first said, what about month end? Exactly your thing, payday and all of that. 24 months, no significant impact, and then 12 months of no significant impact, even during the month. But, technology can break. I think it's very much for me in respect of how quickly do the teams react to it, how quickly do we observe about it. And then maybe one other thing is we've also been working with Google and been using their reliability engineering framework. And just one more thing is we got an incredible partnership with ICBC. I'm sure everyone knows that ICBC, Chinese bank, owns more than 20% of Sana Bank. Okay. In actual fact, I've been working from a technology perspective with them because if you think about their volumes, I mean, it's incredible. They got something like 600 million customers or accounts. Okay. So we actually just worked a bit with them in respect of, well, is there any learnings we can take from them? And it's been very, very helpful and all of it. So for me, it's about bringing all of us together. But for me, it's about how quickly can the teams react to an outage. And a lot of it sits in how do you re-architect yourself, reduce your blast radius, etc. I can talk all day about this because that's been my biggest passion since I came back in respect of really spending time with the teams to make sure that we become a reliable and a trustworthy bank to our clients. And yes, and when we have outages, we're very apologetic to our clients, and it's unacceptable. And our clients should know that I delve deep into it.
Awesome. I'm sure your clients are watching and they'll be accepting your apology. Just to find out, like, month end, is it because there are a lot of people trying to transact at the same time? What was the biggest issue?
A lot of it was partly volume related. That's correct. I mean, and again, it's no excuse. But it's a kind of thing that's amazing with a digital world is, I guess, historically, when you built your systems, they were branch-based. And in actual fact, you knew what your volumes were because there's only so many volumes that can go for a branch. What happened, obviously, with this massive digitalization, which we spoke about, was that unfortunately at month end, we were hit with quite a lot of volumes. But it wasn't just only the cause, but it was definitely, we learned quite a lot about capacity and scalability and all of that. Therefore, the discussion of ICBC, when they start dealing with 600 million clients, have been so interesting.
Thanks a lot, Jörg. Also to find out, like, these emerging technologies, now we've got artificial intelligence, we've got generative AI. Are you in any way making use of these technologies at Standard Bank, and do you have policies around their use?
Yeah, sure. So AI for me, big topic. I mean, and I'll broaden it out. It's fascinating that any conference I go to, AI, big topic. I sit on a couple of technology advisory boards, which I'm actually proudly South African, sitting on some of these big sort of technology companies like Salesforce, Microsoft, AWS, and MasterCard. So I sit on their technology boards, advisory boards with international CEOs, and AI, big topic. So you take this all back is right now is definitely we are, I wouldn't call it experimenting. I mean, it's more than experiencing. We have quite a lot of proof of concepts regarding AI, and I guess we're lucky because we deal with quite a lot of our partners in respect of this. So big topic. I look at it in respect of maybe three kind of sort of aspects where it is. So the first thing is there's, I would argue, AI for technology. So for me, it's about, I'm really challenging our teams in respect of how do we become better, more productive, more spontaneous, and more proactive in respect of using AI. So I'm sure we've all heard about it and read about it in respect of the ability to use AI for code generation, code testing, documentation of your old systems, and that. So definitely there's a whole work stream which I'm challenging our technology teams in respect of how do we adopt these technologies much more into IT and just become better. Because in actual fact, if your competitor uses it and they are using it, you've just got to become better. So that's sort of a first ambit. The second ambit is, I would argue, around productivity.
Okay.
So we got the good old sort of Microsoft Copilot stack in respect of which we are slowly rolling out to our clients. But again, there's a cost and a return. So these things aren't cheap, and you've got to be very, very careful about. You shouldn't do it for the sake of doing it. You should be very purposeful with any of this Gen AI. So we're rolling out these productivity tools, and I think the next step would be sort of contact centers, call centers. The next phase of operations, whereby I spoke previously, I used automation operations. I think nowadays these tools are so much better in respect of being able to use Gen AI. So we definitely have programs there. Then maybe before I jump to the third one, is what's very important. I think part of your question was also is the whole governance and the framework behind it. So we've definitely, this is not only driven from a technology perspective, we've got our risk partners and our compliance partners very much involved in this, and it's about responsible AI. So we very much sort of got sort of our risk teams looking at this. And ultimately, when you start using these large language models, you need sort of model validation, data validation. So all I'm saying is there's a massive, call it compliance, governance stream, which is very important from an AI perspective. And that's especially when you go looking at the third opportunity, and we're not yet there. And I don't think many organizations are here at all. Is about when you unleash this on your client, but unleash this on your client unobserved. And for me, that's still a bit of an uncertain world, because I would argue that if a client interacts with these Gen AI things, either whether it's a financial institution, currently right now we still got a human being in the middle, because in actual fact you don't know what in actual fact is going to be spat out. So that one is, I would argue, we're not very far with. But from the first two pillars, we're definitely spending a lot of time. But very, very interesting topic. And I really think it's going to be, as corny as it sounds, but as the internet came and impacted our lives, or email, etc., I really think this is the next wave. But I would be don't take me, I say cautious. I just would be very purposeful about it. Because also when you think about the computing power which you need, which you're going to get from the hyperscalers, from the cloud, you can also burn a lot of money and achieve nothing. So you've got to be very, very purposeful. But I'm actually also chairing a steering committee in respect of pulling the whole AI across the group. And also don't think going forward I don't think it's going to be either this vendor or that vendor. I think it's going to be very much an and strategy. And when you think about the amount of large language models which are out there, I would argue you should use several ones and really look at the output that comes from them. And then ultimately always determine which one is the best. Another thing what I learned about AI is quite interesting. I just spoke to one of the sort of Australian sort of global CIOs, and there was something about, he asked me a question, he says, do you have a red button? And I said, what do you talk about? And he says, if you have this AI implemented and it suddenly goes rogue, who makes the decision of switching it off? Which is actually very important, because in actual fact, remember about generative AI is that you never know what the content's going to come out. So another thing I've then brought back to the organization, and I said, who's got the red button? And all of that. Very interesting topic. I mean, I love this topic. Keeps me very busy.
I was actually watching this movie. I don't know if you watched Netflix. One of their latest editions when the AI went rogue and it was uncontrollable, and then we have the first AI terrorists.
Yeah, that's and to be honest, I mean, there's a whole other side world of there's a frightening thing of when they're I mean, maybe just a side discussion, but I look at this quite simplistically by saying is when you think about it, the data users is open internet data. And when you think about it, historically, the data is all compiled by human beings up until now. Now, machines are creating the data. But what happens if machines are using their own data and all of that? So you don't really know what the outcome is. So therefore, I'm just saying be cautious about it. And therefore, this whole reliability, governance and all of that is quite important.
Exactly.
But I think it's quite exciting where this is going to.
Which leads me to my next question, which is about skills. Do we have, or Standard Bank, if we just put it to yourself, do we have enough skills to be able to manage all these emerging technologies like you AI, generative AI. I know, like even data science. I know there's a big, skills shortage of these critical skills. How are you finding this at Standard Bank?
Look, skills is globally actually, in fact, the biggest topic. I mean, I think even when I go to these sort of overseas advisory boards, everyone does talk about the challenge of skills. I can maybe talk about a few things of how we're approaching it from a Standard Bank perspective. Some of it is quite basic, and so let me actually start there. So it was quite interesting. If you would have applied for a job at Standard Bank, your job description would have said Johannesburg. So, and I guess thanks to COVID and all of that, and I mean thanks in inverted commas, we actually started learning by saying you don't have to be location specific anymore. So what is great nowadays is where I'm getting to is we're tapping into skills much further than call it Johannesburg or where our offices are. So in actual fact, my friends in Cape Town are getting a lot of competition from me in respect of, we got an office in Cape Town. They're like, it doesn't have to be Johannesburg, but we've got an office in Cape Town. So I'm saying is, why don't we create a lot of skills in Cape Town? Because a lot of people left Johannesburg for Cape Town and in actual fact are working for some of our competitors and insurance companies. And we lost good skills. So I'm saying is, come work for us. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is we continuously work with our vendors and partners in respect of because we big on the continent, how do we continuously work with them together in respect of upping these engineering schemes? So we've got a lot of, working together in respect of investment in upping that. The other aspect is even internally, we got we as I said, voice of engineers. So we got quite a lot of learning programs, which we've in actual fact now making available, and we are sort of, maturing them as we go along. And then the other thing is, for example, we spend a lot of time on, for example, hackathon days and all of that. And a lot of that is just to make it available sort of to a broader sort of community out there in respect of start playing with these new technologies and why not come join the Standard Bank group. But I would argue this whole skill set is a massive global topic. But I would argue we, from a Standard Bank perspective, have quite an advantage in respect of how we're tackling this. And I say we've got such a diversified organization that we play with all these tools and we make it very attractive for people to come and to come join us and, in inverted commas, play and implement these tools. But that's a very difficult topic.
Awesome. Speaking of hackathons, I understand Standard Bank, we got an invite of a hackathon that is upcoming, I think, 2nd and 3rd July, if I'm not mistaken. How are you making use of this? Are you making use of them to recruit talent, or you're just doing it to support these young kids who've got bright ideas?
It's most probably everything. So the reason I'm a firm believer in my hackathons, and unfortunately I can't be there, I think, during Cape Town, because in actual fact I'm spending a bit of time in Europe. So it's quite difficult to go from Europe to Cape Town and back again. But for me, it's a kind of aspect. I'm a full believer in hackathons, and the reason why is because you start challenging thinking. So I look at it in respect of, often we push a theme out there in respect of solving real client problems. So we're making it available to a much broader community, and I'm going here's an opportunity for many people sort of to start interacting with a Standard Bank group in respect of solving real client problems. And so for me, it's like, do we use some of that for recruitment? Yes. I mean, I'm not going to shy away from it. Yes. I mean, it's not the only sole purpose. I think the sole purpose is just to make opportunities like this available to the market. And in actual fact, I think it also gives us a great name in the market. I think it's fun. For me, I always believe in, you have to come to work, you have to have fun. And these events are very much collaborative work events. They are fun events. And we as an organization actually learn quite a lot. But I'm a firm believer, and we also then got quite a big one, which we run across purely the Standard Bank group, but we run it across all our continents, and sometimes there's over 300 people that attend from our engineers, and I love the outcomes. I'm one of the judges, and I love the outcomes, and it just pushes the envelope. So it's just good to be out there. We should do more of those.
Yes, indeed. Like we recently had ours as well. Like there were a couple of interesting ideas from the kids from the Northern Cape, I think, who won the overall ITWeb Security Summit hackathon. Then I'm also looking to understand, like from a cybersecurity point of view, like what would you say are the biggest challenges that a financial institution like yours is facing in regards to cybercrime, and also the measures that you are taking to mitigate against these ever-evolving challenges?
Yeah, look, cybercrime, cybersecurity, big topic. If you had to ask me what I'm most probably worried about the most, just because of cybercrime, and the reason why is because it's so pervasive. When you look at you read anything as just the number of sort of how it's increased, for volumes have increased. But let me maybe step back. So when you look from a Standard Bank Group perspective, we must probably got over 800 people that just work in cybersecurity. In our cybersecurity teams across the continent. We spend at least over R1 billion on cybersecurity. So you can see we're taking it very, very seriously. So that's the first thing. I mean, always the numbers astound me. The second aspect is we work quite closely with partners. I mean, so I don't think you can do everything yourself. So we're very much aligned closely with partners. First, couple of aspects. Well, one aspect is from an execution perspective, with help us execute us, help us be better at this. But also in respect of partners are very good at threat intelligence and all of it. So we get a lot of input from there. As I am concerned that just volumes globally have gone up. It's quite interesting when you look at the World Economic Forum. I think definitely sort of cybercrime featured in the top 10, if not in the top 5. So it's sort of risks. So that's a kind of other aspect. The other data points I have, which is quite bad. When you look at South Africa, I think we ranked 5th, and this is not a good number, but I think we actually ranked 5th from being impacted by cybercrime. So I think I got a number, so anything like 56 of 1 million internet users, not internet banking, internet users are in actual fact prone to cybercrime eventually. So it's an actual fact. So you got all these numbers and it's worrying. I mean, as I said, like the kind of trends, what I'm kind of worried going forward. So you got your usual things which you've managed, like DDoS attacks and. But where it's becoming now partly complicated, we got the whole topic nowadays of deep fakes. So in actual fact, just by me purely being on video here, and in actual fact, based on AI, you can impersonate me.
No. And
a lot of that's happening is that's a lot of it of getting data, sort of clients' data. So there's quite a worrying aspect. Then I spoke about AI, but we're also spending a lot of sort of time and money on AI against cybersecurity or against cybercrime. So it's a kind of aspect, and we also investing there. But that's probably, I always argue is our systems are definitely safe and secure. But trends are moving, and you've really got to be up to. But I think we've got great networks out there, great relationships to really work with us. And I say, like over 800 people working sort of in just alone in that unit, as we take this damn seriously.
Great stuff. Also, to find out, Yogi, is cybersecurity your responsibility, or you also have got like a group chief information?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. I see so. In actual fact, he reports into me, and he reports into a risk person. But it does fall under me, which, yeah, it does fall under me. I say as a joke, it would be nice if it didn't report into me. Maybe I'd sleep a bit better at night, but it is a kind of aspect that reports into me. And I forgot to say this, I'm very proud that at the last CIO-SA Awards, which were the very first awards last year in November, in actual fact, we won the Cybersecurity Award. So well done to the team, and I think it's great recognition for the team. So you can see a lot of the stuff, but you know what, this is where you can't let your guard down.
Yeah.
And definitely sort of we got every sort of quarter sort of board meetings, and sort of my head of CISO, he definitely gives an update every single sort of quarter to the board in respect of whatever trends, what's happening, and they keep us honest about it.
Lastly, Yogi, we mentioned earlier about you sitting on several boards. I think Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken, Salesforce.
Yeah, Salesforce is.
Yes. If you can just tell us about your different other roles besides being, of course, the Group CIO of Standard Bank. What else are you involved in?
Yeah, so I mean, as you said, like I'm a CIO of a Standard Bank group, which keeps him busy enough. But in actual fact, at Standard Bank, also got another portfolio, which is a real estate portfolio, which in actual fact, I must say also love about it. But then from a technology perspective, I guess I am quite on it and quite lucky that I sit on a couple of these sort of technology advisory boards. These are meetings which happen twice a year internationally. They generally make up about 20 people, or generally there's a membership of about 20 people. And I think the great thing about it is that gives me huge exposure to other CIOs, whether they come from Australia, whether they come from South America, North America, or Europe. And I say these aren't conferences, these are generally 2-day events, and it's great. So I sit on there. I mean, I also sort of coming back from a Standard Bank perspective is I guess just based on my role, sort of, I'm a participant. I'm maybe not a member, but I'm a participant of many of sort of our board meeting and senior leadership meetings, just in respect of how important technology is to the group. And I guess based on my experiences, is I love challenging sort of people, and that. So that's a wider role. But the most important thing is I'm actually a family person. And most probably the biggest job I have is being a family person. Like spending time with my wife and my 2 boys are now studying in the UK, and I try and spend as much time as possible with them as well.
Is it?
Good.
So what other things do you do besides?
Like in actual fact, I'm a vivid sort of cyclist. So I road cyclist. In actual fact, when I was younger, I used to be quite a serious road cyclist. But I actually must probably, after hitting the tarmac too many times, like you see when the peloton falls in the Tour de France and all of that, my wife sort of said, can you just calm it? You're a father of 2 boys and I still want you around. Like, so it's this comment. So, but I am quite a serious sort of road cyclist. I mean, I play golf. Like I try and keep fit. I think with my role is I spend a lot of time sort of gymming, running, sort of cycling, those kind of aspects. So another thing which I don't think a lot of people know, I used to be a helicopter pilot. So that's actually where I learned a lot of my discipline from being a pilot. But I think due to a lot of financial reasons, it's damn expensive flying a helicopter. So I've reduced that. So I don't think I'm actually, how do you call it, sort of not relevant, but I don't think my license is actually up to date. But I used to love that. I used to love flying helicopters. So I enjoy having fun. As I say, I like being out there. But I'm a family person, spend a lot of time with my boys, which give me a run out cycling and all that challenge really there.
Thank you so much, Jörg, for visiting us here at ITWeb TV. I'm sure you have got a busy day. We can go on and on. We had started an interesting topic about helicopter. I would want to have another session speaking specifically about helicopters.
I can say a lot about that.
Yes.
But I must say it was fantastic being at Admire. Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, touch wood, hopefully sort of IT goes from strength to strength. Excellent.
Awesome. That was Jörg Fischer, who is the Chief Information Officer at Standard Bank Group. For this and more news, visit our YouTube channel. Thank you.